Hey guys, Patrick here with the Alphas and Outliers podcast. In this episode, we sit down with Frank Latella, owner of Boynton Guns and Strength for Combat in Boynton Beach, and Mike Sandbach, who is the owner of Article of Luxury in West Palm Beach. So grab your favorite beverage, sit down, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, we're inside with Frank in his Boynton Guns shop. Frank,
welcome.
Love it. This is awesome.
Thanks, man.
So we're all gun enthusiasts here, so I think we can appreciate everything you got going on. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at? What do we got?
Yeah, absolutely. So Boynton Guns is a small gun store. I think of it like this: we're like a convenience store, right? So you can go to a giant like Publix or something, like a supermarket,
right?
And everything you need is there. But you have that convenience store that's clean, that's personable, that can get you the essentials, right? That's what we have. So
Sure.
Most of our customers come in here and they're looking for a concealed weapon. A lot of first-time gun owners and the people who just got into guns in the past few years, right? So concealed carry is pretty much the number one thing that people come to us for. So I wanted to show you, first, this is actually my personal gun, but I want to compare it to a new firearm. So even though we have the chamber flags in here, I'll take them out, but of course we're going to clear it. All right, so what we have here. This is the Glock 17 4th generation, and this is the SIG P365X Macro.
Nice.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about this one. It's one of my favorite guns. It's not my everyday carry. It's very big, but we have a 17 round capacity, right? The reason why I'm comparing it to this, and I'll lay them on top, you can see the difference, right? And even when we put them side by side, it might be a little hard to see from there, but when you hold it, you could totally tell that this is much more slim. 17 round capacity, 17 round capacity plus one in the chamber. That means this small, slim gun can be your everyday carry, and you get the same amount. Now that's very rare. That's very rare, because I can take, let's say, this Hellcat right here, where we got 10 rounds, right? That's generally 10 to 12 is like your average concealed size. 17, right?
Wow.
Now, although I have the
double stack.
so that's the weird thing about it, right? It's like magic. Like, where do the rounds go?
Right.
So it is double stack, but they stack them in there. In my opinion, it's like a staggered way of doing it. Because it sits flush, right? It's a lot of these guns you can get an extended magazine and it's gonna sit out like this, right? This sits flush, which is amazing. Now, the Gen 4, I had the slide milled, so I had the slide milled so I can put my Trijicon optic on it. Right. And this one comes optic ready. A lot of newer guns do, but this one comes optic ready. Yep. Right. And it already has the sights. Now, another cool thing about this. See the cuts right here. So this is a compensated slide, right? It's ported. So the cool thing is, if I pull it back, right? I'm here, but you still don't see the muzzle. You don't see the barrel of the gun until I pull it back all the way. So that means you have the gas escaping, which is going to help mitigate the recoil. Right. So it's not going to be as aggressive. Right. Although, the SIG firearms generally aren't. Yeah. Very snappy guns to begin with.
The cool thing about these is,
so feel free to check them out, guys.
Is, this is a regular old pair of pants.
Oh yeah.
I can hide that in there. Nobody even has to know it's there.
You can, and with the shirt tucked in, that's a good option. Without that, I always recommend like a Kydex holster, so it's secure. Right. But the size of it,
that's cool.
Sick.
That is really cool.
I gotta say, Frank, a G17 with some suppressor sights on it, a Trijicon though, you just really can't beat it.
No. Although I'm talking this a big game on this gun, I can easily just run a background check on myself and take this, but
I'm saying I take that all day.
I love it.
I have that. I have that exact one in the 17 and the 19. So what's a price point on something like this?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the 800s.
Okay.
You're looking at the 800s. And that's without an optic, right? You take the optic off this. Now, keep in mind, this is a Gen 4. This is an older model, but you're looking at about in the 600s.
Yeah.
Right? And then, of course, you add the optic, but you add that on this, too. So
say someone is a Glock fan, right? Because I like Glock.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of them. What does a new generation say? What's a comparable to this? The 19, right? Will probably be more comparable in size.
So that's I'm glad you specified the size, right? Because as we talked about the magazine capacity on these are the same. The smaller gun, you figure a Glock 19, you're holding 15 rounds in that. I would actually compare this to the Glock 48.
Really?
Because of how slim it is, right? Now I'm not gonna unload it, but this is my Glock 48. Right? So we can almost, it's going to be a little hard for you guys to see, but the width of that is very, very similar. And I compare the Glock 48 to what would be a single stack Glock 19. Right. Why? Because it's a slim gun, barrel length is the same, and you can put an aftermarket magazine in there. Say Shield Arms, it's a steel magazine, it sits flush and it still gives you the 15 rounds. So in my opinion, it is close to a Glock 19. I would say a little closer to the Glock 48 just because it's a little bit more slim.
Gotcha.
You know? And I'm a Glock person. We got this one, we got this one, we got a handful more. This SIG, and I took this to the outdoor range up in Okeechobee, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, because I sold one to a friend, and I wanted to shoot it. So I'm like, all right, let's go out there. I got to see how it is, and it's smooth. Especially the flat trigger.
Right. Yeah, I like that too.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so
What
what
else do you sell here? What other kind of things can we get from you?
Well, you can get a lot of stuff from me. I want to show you something that's the exact opposite of this, right? So I'm gonna show you this.
Look, it's a musket.
I'm gonna show you
Black
this.
powder musket.
Black powder
Yes,
musket.
that's exactly what it is, right? So the story behind this, black powder, fully functioning, smooth bore. So now this is certainly not the gun people call me about. I'm really looking for this gun. No. This is actually a gun that we took in on consignment. We had somebody there was a death in the family. The wife did not want the gun in the house. So we decided that we're going to help her out. We're going to take it in and sell it for her. So having someone walk in and getting this gun, it looks cool on the shelves, but we have it listed online. We do a lot of transactions on Gunbroker.
Sure.
Okay.
Right? So, we buy and sell. Someone comes in, and it's not just this. Someone can come in and say, hey, I have a pre-owned, whatever, Smith & Wesson, and I'm trying to get rid of it, right? If it's a good gun, I'll buy it from them. If it's a gun that, all right, it might sell, but it's going to take a little time, put it on Gunbroker. Anyone in the country, it's like eBay.
Yeah. Gunbroker's great, dude.
It's awesome.
So what is something like this run?
So this is a tricky one, right? Because like this specific one, it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. You have a little bit of wear on it, no doubt. And it also depends on the manufacturer. You can give or take $1,000. Generally a little bit higher than that, simply because that it's a little bit more rare and it's more of a antique.
What's the year?
The year on this one, I don't know if they engraved it on.
What would you guess?
What would I guess? I would say, let me see if it's on here. No, it's not on here.
Definitely a cool piece.
No, it's a sick gun.
Definitely a cool
It
piece.
is.
That's a collector for sure.
Let me check that out.
Could you imagine? Well, that's actually shorter than the old ones.
Yeah, man, this is cool. This is really cool. This is like this is cool to just buy and like put on a gun rack like above your like behind your desk or something and just have it.
Exactly.
Like, this is a cool decoration.
Yes. And that's why I like having it here, because it's a cool looking gun.
And it has like some really cool patina on it and everything. I like this thing.
Yeah, I was even
You wanna check
considering.
this out? I've seen it.
I was even considering taking that out to the range.
That's pretty cool.
That thing is gonna be loud.
Oh, it's got a kick like a mule. I would imagine. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude. I think I have like an old German Mauser.
Yeah.
Bro.
All right. So you got a lot of stuff. You got a lot of different kinds of stuff. You got ARs. You got bullpups. You got
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff, and like
a lot
I
of
mentioned,
carbines over here.
like I mentioned, I'm not looking to be the biggest.
Yeah.
I'm looking to have quality interactions with people. My favorite thing, to be honest, is when I have someone that comes in, and I hear it quite often. They're like, I was never into guns. I may not have been against anti-gun, but guns weren't in the family. It just wasn't our thing. It was almost like, we don't want to talk about it. But the common thing would be, just the way things are looking the past couple of years, this and that. I want to learn. And I really commend people that come in, they step out of their comfort zone big time, and they take the time to get the training. Because that's really what it is.
And you provide that.
Absolutely, we provide the training. Everything from basic firearm safety, the concealed weapons permit class, defensive shooting, tactical training. Most of the time is spent on that beginner level, getting people comfortable with the guns that they buy, you know?
Right.
And oftentimes, we would hear, my schedule's a little bit busy. I don't know if I can do this, do that. So then I decided, well, how can I eliminate excuses? So I made an online course. It's an online course, full detail, all the information that I teach in the concealed weapons permit class that I put there, so people can use it to review the information that they learn here.
Sure.
Or they can use it to prepare for it. But, understanding the functionality of the firearms and the safety aspect, you can't cut that short.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing with us. We're going to get into the podcast and start finding out some stuff.
Let's do it.
All right. Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, here we are, finally, in Frank's gym. So, ladies and gentlemen at home, we are here with Mike Sandbach. Let me say it right. Sandbach. Correct? Sandbach. Okay. Sandbach. I'll get to that in a minute. I want to get into the origins of your name. And Frank Latella, we're in Frank's martial arts gym. It's behind the gun store where we were before. So this is where all the magic happens back here. So welcome, guys. It's good to be back together with you again. And we're gonna cover a lot of ground during this portion of our podcast. So what I'd like to do is kind of just go over origins. I want to talk about, where you started and the whole thing. I'm going to start with you, Mike, because since I screwed up your name, I want to get it right, and I want to know where does that come from? So give me the history of your family, and then let's talk about your childhood.
So I didn't even know, right? I did some research on it a couple of years ago. It's actually English. I thought it was German.
Really?
Yeah. But it's actually, I thought German too for like the longest time. And my family never cared to look. So I took it upon myself and found it's actually English. There's actually a town in England, Sandbach, England.
Okay.
Actually I want to go.
You got your own town?
Yeah, I just want to, I want to go just to see,
That's
what I mean?
awesome.
But I'm a mutt, dude. A whole bunch of different shit that I should do one of those DNA tests.
We were just talking about that before you got here.
Really?
With Jeremy and Pat. We're like, would you ever do that? Because they caught, and the funny thing is, right?
I don't want them having my DNA.
That's the thing.
No, I don't.
Storing.
That's why I know they are. That's why I haven't done it.
Uh-huh.
Right. And you know, my wife is just like, you know, you should really do it. I'm like, I'm not giving them my DNA.
So
you know what I mean?
the plus side of having that, I mean, it really is a database, is that you'll have some criminals, some serial killers that are caught from that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what else is being done with your DNA?
That's what I'm.
Look where we're going already.
Well, that's
Are you implying we're conspiracy theorists?
Right.
well, all I'm saying is that, like, at risk of, you know, whatever, I'm not giving him my DNA. Anyway,
I would do it. And here's the other thing. I was watching something the other day where they were talking about it. They were actually got into this thing. And the people that were actually making the video and everything were some medical experts, people who are DNA specialists, stuff like that. And they said it's all BS. Everything they tell you is basically generic. It's the same. Everybody in the world shares the same basic DNA. They said it's funny. It's like, this is a racket that people are making, these companies are making a lot of money off of, because you and I have the same DNA. Put mine on top of yours, and it's like, wow, you guys all the same. You might,
there's a couple of different
there's
strains.
a couple
yeah,
little things in
exactly.
there, but does it tell you anything really? No, it doesn't. Anyways,
You ever look into CRISPR technology,
I didn't. I've heard of it, but I've not.
like genetic editing?
Yeah.
Genetic editing and stuff.
I've gone into that.
Dude, it's like, it's
That's for like a future generation to.
if you want to go down a rabbit hole, look at like genetic editing, like CRISPR technology, and it's nuts.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen it, but I'm just kind of speculating that maybe a benefit is you kind of eliminate a specific disease.
Exactly. Right. It's right. Like anything, I do believe that like most inventions start off with good intentions, right?
Exactly.
And that's what the CRISPR is for. Exactly. And then
Super soldiers.
exactly. CRISPR was designed to like remove like cancer mutations and things like that out of DNA. But I could just see it getting way out of hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And now with like, between like gene editing technology and everything that's going on with like AI right now, and you like kind of like put it all, it's just like scary shit.
So before we get any further down that rabbit hole, let me just tell the people that are watching, you know, basically what our relationship is. So these are two of my friends, two of my good friends. Frank owns this gym. We've known each other for what, about almost a year now, right?
Yeah.
And Mike and I have definitely known each other for a year.
Yep.
And we share, it's funny because we share a lot of different things in common. We share, you know, a love of guns, our country. Mike and I are both watch collectors and stuff. And so that's a big part of our relationship. Two really cool guys that I really like. And so that's why they're here. We've spent some time together before, kind of doing a test run with the podcast, and that went really well. So here we are back doing this again. And so we're going to kind of pick up where we left off. And so we're going to get into kind of the backgrounds of you guys, where you came from, kind of who you are, kind of share with everybody about where, you know, your whole history, and kind of bring us forward to now. And then we'll move on there, and then we'll dive into that rabbit hole again and stuff. So Mike, go ahead and lead us off and tell us about your upbringing and where you're from.
Sure.
I'll be quiet this time.
I'm sorry for leading us down a rabbit.
You did for
already.
I actually led us there. I kind of set it up.
But anyway, I'm from Johnston, Rhode Island. Like small town in a very small state. Like everybody kind of like knows your business type of deal.
Yeah.
And you know, growing up, you know, just like the regular family. You know what I mean? And I was big into sports, dude.
Right.
I was a big hockey player. Played like from a very young age. I strapped on my first set of skates when I was like 3 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy.
Wow.
And like that's like one of my earliest memories was skating on a pond with my dad and my uncle. I remember I was wearing this like little Bruins jersey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I remember it like it's like one of my earliest memories.
That's cool.
Yeah, man. So like that kind of progressed. Like it was almost like my life, you know what I mean? Where my dad, like he was my dad, but he was like kind of like more like my manager and like coach type of deal, if that makes sense. And you know, it was always from like 11 on, I would say. It's like always in the gym. You know what I mean? Like we're doing dry land, we're doing on ice, we're doing dry land, we're doing on ice. And like, it just kind of became like a thing. And you know, it was a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like, traveled all over Canada and shit, playing, and but that was like a major part of my life and my upbringing and everything like that, until I ended up puncturing one of my kidneys on the ice, just kind of like a freak accident, dude.
Playing or
yeah, dude, it was in practice, which is just so anticlimactic. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could say like, yeah, it was, you know, but it wasn't. It was just kind of like a stupid freak accident, dude. Dude, I was like skating around and like warm ups, and someone shot a puck across the ice. I stepped on it and like wiped out, and like, if something felt like super weird, right? And I'm stubborn, you know what I'm saying? So I like ignored it, and then went like septic 2 days later and ended up in the hospital.
Oh, geez.
And that was kind of the end of that. You know what I mean? So once that part of my life ended, I kind of had to like almost like reinvent myself. It was like everything that I had known up until that point. So I kind of had to like reinvent myself, and like it got like dark for a little bit, but you know, I got into sales like shortly after, and kind of like found like a new like competitive love for that. Got into like the car sales game super young. Started moving up like manager, then got into finance, then got into
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. And kind of like used that as my like new sport almost.
Sure.
You know, and that led to like you know, I've been able to build like a pretty good life for myself off of like those skills. And like now I got a wife, I got 2 daughters, 5 and 2, Jolene and Vivian. I love them to death, dude. They have me like wrapped around their finger, dude. I was so fucked. I know, dude. I really am. Like, my wife actually, like, the other day, you know what I mean? We're talking. We're just like, dude, like, these girls, like, they're like so special. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And you know, it's cool. And then, you know, we got into watch collecting, right? And like, I've always liked watches, you know what I mean? I think like sales guys always buy stupid shit, you know what I mean? So it's like every single time I would get a big
Sales guys
commission.
and athletes.
Yeah, dude, every single time I would get a big commission, I'd buy like a car, like a watch or something like that. This was like before kids, you know what I mean?
Right.
When like I didn't have any responsibilities or anything.
The same thing.
Yeah, dude. And so like that's how I got into watches, cars and stuff like that. Yeah. And then once I had a family, I was like, okay, I really don't want to let this part of my life go. Yeah. But I need to find a way to enjoy it more responsibly. You know what I mean? So that's how I got into like watch collect. Like, okay, like if I can buy, you know what I mean, like 3 watches and sell 2 of them, and it pays for the one that I really like. Yeah. Like that's how I started getting involved in it. And it kind of has grown into like a pretty decent company, I would say. So like, I opened up the company about almost a year ago now, Article of Luxury. Mm-hmm. And dude, I've done like over like 120 watch transactions this year.
Nice.
And have really come close to fully supplementing my day job income. Right. So like within the next like 6 months or so, I think I'm going to step 100% into like being a full-time watch dealer. Right. And, you know, use that to support my family that way. Nice. And actually do something that I like for like the first time in like a while. So, you know, it's like working a corporate job just to pay the bills sucks.
It does suck. It does suck. Absolutely.
It just, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly.
It's just,
I'm in your same situation right now, except I've been a mortgage banker for the last 21 years.
That's a tough business, right?
And it's, you know, it's this constantly, and I'm just sick of the roller coaster ride. And right now it's worse than I've ever seen it, and it's only going to get worse. And and I've just kind of made the decision, like, you know what, I'm where you are with the thing. My watch business is doing pretty darn good, and I want to do what you're considering doing, which is stepping into it full time and just dedicating myself to that. And because I enjoy it, it's something I've had a passion for. Just like you, I got into it early. Was always into it, and did it the same way. I'd buy one, wear it, sell it, buy another one, wear it, sell it, buy another one, and maybe buy another one, and then sell that one to pay for this one, and it kind of got to be a cycle.
Yep.
And that was my thing as a collector. And then, you know, in the last year, I came to realize that, wow, there's people that do this for a living.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
That was wild to me too.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, like not everybody is trapped in this seventh circle of hell, corporate fucking hellhole. You know what I mean? Like, dude, like I'll tell you, if you're watching this and you have a private company, don't go public.
Don't go public.
Don't go public.
No, it sucks.
It is like answering to like a board of investor. It's like just, yeah. I enjoyed my job.
Yeah.
I genuinely enjoyed my job up until a couple of years ago when we went public. It started to go downhill a little bit, and this year has just been a shit show, dude.
Yeah.
You know, but like honestly, I'm so grateful for it. I really am.
Right.
I'm so grateful for it because you've heard the term golden handcuffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like, dude, they had me in the golden handcuffs.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's so hard to walk away from like a mid 6-figure job.
Sure.
It just is.
Yeah.
And you know, because of the moves that they made and everything like that, they kind of gave me the key to those golden handcuffs, and I'm so grateful for it.
Right.
Like I was pissed at first. Like 6 months ago, I would have been singing a very different tune.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like now, in hindsight, I'm incredibly grateful that all of this has happened because it kind of lit a fire under my ass to get my business off the ground and actually, instead of treating it like, oh, I like to wear cool watches, and start treating it like a business.
Right.
And then once I did that and like that mental shift happened,
Right.
that's when it really started to take off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm incredibly grateful for it. But anyway, don't go public.
So
Don't go public.
would you say the skills that you learned in your your current and previous jobs helped you with your watch career?
100%. I mean, sales is sales, dude.
Sure.
You know,
That's what I was getting at with the cars.
Yeah, bro. Sales is sales. And like, that's been, I've done that since I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm 33. I've been doing it literally, you know, my entire adult life. Like since I got out of high school, it's like the only thing that I've known. So 100%, dude, you know? And like, I tell young kids like all the time, I'm like, dudes, like get into high margin sales.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like screw everything else, like get into high margin sales if you're money motivated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But like, other than, yeah, exactly. Me too. That's the, you know, you know, if you want to be a doctor, go to school. You know what I mean? You want to be a lawyer, go to school. You want to be an engineer, go to school. Right. But like, other than that, like, dude, get into high margin sales and friggin' master it, and you'll have the world by the balls.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But
Frank,
Yes, Pat.
we get to hear from you now. What did tell us your sad story when you were growing up?
All right,
Yours isn't a sad story though. You have a pretty interesting story.
No, yeah, I definitely had a good childhood. There's nothing to complain about.
Right.
And even when I do complain, I smack myself and I'm like, there's bigger problems.
yeah, exactly.
So, all right, so let's rewind. I was born here in Florida, actually in Boynton Beach.
Rare.
Very rare. So when people, you know, I could say I am a true Floridian. I'll show you my birth certificate.
Right. Right.
So I was born in Florida.
Unicorn, dude.
Yep. Bethesda East. Moved to New Jersey when I was 2 years old with my mother.
Okay.
Ended up living with my grandparents, my mother, my aunt, a few of my cousins. Like, it was, what I really enjoyed was just that full house, right? It was chaotic. There was commotion. There was arguing, but it was like, I really enjoyed that full house.
Mhm.
And, you know, always having something to do, playing with my cousins, you know, riding bikes with the friends.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was great. So I lived in Jersey up until 2011. And I would say, you know, I played a bunch of sports growing up. Nothing I loved, but I wrestled, I played football, for a little while. I played baseball. I was in the Boy Scouts. Like, I did a bunch of things, but it was nothing that I was so eager to do. And I didn't know that there could be something more. So, I got a job. Actually, before I got like a real job, I would shovel snow in the winter. I would mow lawns in the summer. I was always looking to like keep myself busy, but make money while doing it.
Sure.
So that's maybe part of the reason why I didn't find sports as intriguing. I think I was 14. I got a job at McDonald's. Obviously, not a place you want to be, right?
Not a career path.
Certainly not a career path.
Long term.
Absolutely not. But 14 years old, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm making some money. This is great. I can do this, do that. Then I ended up getting fired just because I wasn't like, I had no reason to be there. I don't have a
You weren't a company man.
you know what I mean? So I ended up working at ShopRite, which is a supermarket up there. It's like the Publix equivalent.
Yeah. That's a terrible job.
Oh yeah,
I did that.
I already
as
know.
a kid in high school, bro.
I already know. But being on the register was terrible. I was in one of the things was the frozen food section. I hated the cold, but I was able to just kind of not deal with the customers, which was a plus. Once I finished high school, moved back to Florida with my mother. Now, in that transition, so just back up a second, when I still lived in Jersey, I started training martial arts. I wanted something to do aside from work. Because, a couple of years into it, it was no longer fun. It was like, all right, I got to go to work. I'm making money. So I started training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And immediately I fell in love with it. It was the physical aspect, like doing stuff with my hands, because I don't do well like with a book in my hand or in a classroom.
Yeah.
And the benefit of, I learned one thing, but I know there's 1,000 others, so I got to go back. And then I learned 1,000 things, and I realized, there's 100,000 things. There's just always something to learn. Then I cross-trained in Brazilian, in Muay Thai. Then I saw this thing called Haganah. There was a poster on the board that said Haganah seminar with founder of the system, Mike Sandbach, and I had no idea what any of that was. So Haganah is an Israeli reality-based fighting system. It's the evolution of Krav Maga. And I went to the event, and I met the founder who was in the Israeli Special Forces, and he used me as his assistant. And by assistant, I mean his dummy, and I got my ass beat for 6 hours. I was maybe 17 years old. I think I was the youngest one there. And although I'm thinking to myself, I paid for this to just get beat up and embarrassed and this and that, but I'm like, I learned so much. And I realized, okay, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is great and it's important. Muay Thai kickboxing is great and it's important. But this is like super real.
Yeah.
It's right to the point. It's, in Jiu-Jitsu, you can't do this, this, and this. In Muay Thai, you can't do this. So let's do that in Haganah.
Yeah.
Like the use of weapons, training, offense, and defense. So my mother said, hey, once you finish high school, I'm going to move back to Florida. You can come with me if you'd like. And then I thought, okay, Mike Sandbach, his school is in Davie. Like, how far is Davie from Boynton Beach? She's like, it's too far. You can't drive there. I look online. I'm like, okay, it's about an hour away with no traffic. I'll do it. We moved down here. Within 3 days, I started training with him. And, enjoying the beach, the weather, new friends, like all that is great. But training was the thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I wanted to do.
New passion.
The new passion.
Yeah.
And I just kept going with it.
Right.
So we had I remember we were packing the moving truck, and you have all the the couches, the TVs, the clothing. But we made sure, I can't remember what it was, but we left an item behind. Maybe like a couch or bed, so that I could fit my wrestling mats and my punching bag and all that stuff. So we had a garage that was transformed into a gym. And I had all the essentials. Some of the best workouts I got was in that no air conditioning, everything pre-owned, rusty dumbbells. Like that was the spot.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm training constantly. I became an instructor in Hagen. I became a personal trainer. And I would train my friends and some of the neighbors. And business was not on my mind.
Yeah.
I'm just training. And then I'm thinking, okay, I'm back at a fast food place. I'm back at a warehouse. I'm working at a car wash, job to job to job, because I didn't actually love it. And it was my instructor who pretty much said, hey, like he would have me do the warm-ups to certain classes. And he's like, hey, one day I see you having a school with over 100 students. And like that casual little comment that he didn't even think twice about stuck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then I started to look for like, okay, well, how do I like bring it to the next level? So I found this box gym in the area, and the owner took me in. He was Jared was his name, great guy. He let me start a program. He let me start to teach the Haganah classes there. And it was fitness only, so it was very unique to the gym. And I built up a small following, but business was something that took me a while. It took a while to click and realize, okay, I can't do this. I have to start doing that. And I'm still learning to this day. But from there, I ended up opening up a gym that we called Strength for Combat. And I had a business partner, and there were some things that happened with the city and the landlord, and it just ended up breaking apart. And to say I came close to stopping and quitting was an understatement. I'm just like, this is just too much. I'm losing money, losing time. I'm not happy. And I remember I went on to, I don't know if it was Craigslist or Monster, and I'm just looking for jobs. And I was like angry at myself. I'm like, just like slam the laptop shut, And then I ended up finding a spot 2 doors down from where we're sitting right now, and much smaller, less equipment, but the essentials. And it worked. And I was there for 5 years, survived COVID, everything was okay. Then halfway through that, got into the firearm sales, and pretty much said, okay, if I want them both to grow, I have to separate them as much as I could. Ended up, one of the neighbors, he's like, hey, my business, we're relocating. We're leaving here. You mentioned that you might want to expand. Consider this spot. Negotiated with the landlord. They did construction. He paid for it. At first, he's like, no, it's going to be you. And I'm just like, no. And we ended up working it out to where the place we're sitting right now, Boynton Guns is in the front, Strength for Combat's in the back, and it's working. It's the up and down. Mm-hmm. I'm working my way back up because all the expenses and time and this and that. But I'm a student at knowledge. I'm always trying to learn audiobooks and just networking with people.
I was going to ask you that. Did you do any like formal like business training? Because I know you had the physical stuff down. Did you do any formal training, or just kind of like School of Hard Knocks?
School of Hard Knocks. I went to Palm Beach State College for a half of a semester for criminal justice. And this was over 10 years ago. And then I realized I can't do, I don't want to sit in an English class and a math class just to get your credits.
Yeah. I went to college for like 20 minutes.
You drove to college.
No, I did. I sat through a half a class and I was like, I can't do this shit. This is ridiculous.
I still do it.
And then I got into sales like the next week.
Let me ask you a question. So going from, your partnership and the whole thing, and you said, okay, what was it that convinced you to keep moving forward versus just giving it up at that point in time when everything was working against you?
Partially the people that cared about me telling me like, hey, look what you've done so far. Like, you know, it was partially my family, close friends, kind of like figuratively slapping me saying, hey, you just have to change a couple things around. Like,
Right.
You're doing fine. Just keep going with it. But it was also, I would say, just to be blunt, the fear of failure. Like, I just didn't want to be.
You would have had to admit, I tried and you failed.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be that guy that's like, oh, it's too hard. Let me stop.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the worst.
I'd rather just eat ramen noodles from the microwave for a little while and just not have everything I want to then get there. You know what I mean?
So here you are you're in this space. Like you said, it's a little bit of a roller coaster thing going on. Is that the same thing that drives you now that drove you then? Or is there more to it than that, dude?
I think that's always going to be there.
Yeah.
The fear of failure is always going to be there. That's always
a good
there.
business person. That should be it.
I agree.
That should be.
It's always going to be there. But now there's I've always had people that would help me out. But for the first time in the past few months, I now have an employee. I now have people that are also, we have like a loyal following of customers and clients that, okay, I'm going to be letting them down too.
Sure.
And the thought of a future family, kids one day, all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to be the one that says, oh, can't come to your baseball game because the boss needs me.
Yeah, dude.
It's like
that shit.
That's not going to be me.
That's for the birds, dude.
And
it really is.
In this scenario where you are now, you're the boss. You're the thing. And anybody that's ever owned, I know I can speak from my own experience, having owned several businesses prior. People are depending on you. Like you said, your customers, employees, if you happen to have them, your family. There's all these people looking to you to lead and to provide and to do all this stuff. And it's like, you can't let down. There's your past point of no return at that point. It's like, I got to make it. Failure is not an option. You just got to keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This episode of Alphas and Outliers is sponsored by Boynton Guns and Strength for Combat in Boynton Beach, as well as Article of Luxury in West Palm Beach.